which bill is meant, I think, to enhance or further the smooth operations of the immigration department. So, Madam, you may make your presentation, after which the honorable members here should be able to interact with you through questions or any clarifications arising from what you tell us. Madam, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of my team, I thank you for this opportunity that you've given us to appear before your committee as witnesses on this particular bill. Honorable Chairperson, my presentation will be divided in 3 main parts. The first one is the introduction. The second one will give a comment on some of the clauses that we think are progressive. Then the third one, Honorable Chairperson, will be giving some of the observations that we've made on some provisions of the bill that it could require some changes, and then, Honorable Chairperson, I'll give the conclusion. Starting with the introduction, Honorable Chairperson, the regulation of entry, departure, and the residence of immigrants within the Republic has historically been governed by the Immigration and Deportation Act, first enacted by the National Assembly as Act number 29 of 1965. However, given that the Act was last amended by Act number 18 of 2010, the new Immigration Control Bill is designed to align the immigration framework with recent major legislative changes, including the 2016 amendment of the Constitution of Zambia, the enactment of other modern statutes, and the launch of the National Immigration Policy in 2022. Honorable Chairperson, who wished to state from the outset that the Ministry was part of the stakeholders who were consulted on the proposed law. In this regard, sir, we confirm that the bill has progressive provisions which will enable the Department of Immigration perform certain mandate effectively. Coming to the ramifications of the provisions of the bill, sir, the following are some of the clauses which we've identified to be progressive. The first one is Clause 6, which introduces immigration border guards, whose functions are to guard borders, immigration installations, and facilities within the Republic. These undertake patrols along the borders in order to prevent illegal border crossing, detect and apprehend suspected illegal immigrants or prohibited immigrants. The second one, sir, is Part 5, which introduces immigration consultants. This addresses the previous unregulated environment which often led to exploitation or poor service. In regulating the mushrooming immigration consultants, the proposed law has categories of individuals who can apply as immigration consultants and the requirements for one to be registered as an immigration consultant. Sir, upon successful legislation, an immigration consultant will receive a formal certificate and have their name officially entered in the professional register, a measure that promotes transparency and legitimacy. The third one, sir, is Part 7 of the bill, which introduces critical compliance obligations for key entities such as employers, educational institutions. Sir, this one includes those for higher learning and, of course, accommodation establishments. Given the increasing number of foreigners in the Republic, the bill mandates these institutions to ensure that all employed or trained foreigners possess the correct and valid permits. Sir, furthermore, operators of accommodation establishments are required to verify and record the immigration status of their customers and make these records available, sir, to an immigration officer upon request. Crucially, any employer, education, or accommodation establishment that contravenes these provisions commits an offense and is subject to prosecution. Sir, the fourth one is Part 8, which establishes the enforcement mechanism, which is a progressive and vital component of the proposed law. It empowers authorized officers, immigration border guards, and immigration officers to enforce the provisions of this law, ensuring the legislation is implemented effectively rather than remaining merely advisory. The fifth one, sir, is Clause 52, which provides for the deportation and removal of a foreigner from the Republic. The clause has been drafted in an elaborate manner, thereby eliminating any possible suit in the event that a foreigner is deported. The sixth one, sir, is on Clause 68, is Clause 68, which provides for trafficking and smuggling in persons, and this is supported. This will curb the crime of trafficking and smuggling in person. This clause, sir, acts as a deterrent measure to would-be offenders. Now coming to our observations, Honorable Chairperson, we have made some observations on some provisions of the bill that may require changes.
Indeed, Madam PS, even as you continue, I would
Yes.
just like to excuse myself. The Vice Chair will stand in.
Thank you.
I'm required
Thank you, sir.
up the Speaker's office. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You may proceed.
I proceed, Honorable Chairperson.
You may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Chairperson, the Ministry has made some observations on some of the provisions of the bill that may require some changes. Chairperson, the Ministry also noted the following provisions that may require changes. The first one is Clause 3. The Ministry suggests renaming the Immigration Department to reflect its function as a service. The department may, for instance, be named as the Zambia Immigration Service. This proposed transformation acknowledges the extensive and critical role, Chairperson, the department plays in managing immigration and related services. The second clause is Clause 5(2) on the requirements for appointment as Director General. Honorable Chairperson, the Ministry is of the view that specific qualifications should not be stipulated within the principal law. Instead, these details should be contained in the regulations, allowing for necessary adjustments as qualifications change over time. Honorable Chairperson, this approach, we believe, aligns with the international best practice, where qualifications for appointments are typically detailed in subsidiary guidelines developed by the relevant institution or are simply stated as being prescribed elsewhere. The other one, Honorable Chairperson, is the wording of clauses 16 to 19 and clauses 22, 24, and 27, that we feel must be made clear. It must be made clear that it is a mandatory requirement for a foreigner to apply to the Director General for any such permits. The current wording, Honorable Chairperson, seems to suggest that it is optional to apply to the Director General. Therefore, the use of the word may should be changed to the word shall. In concluding, Honorable Chairperson, having stated the above position, the Ministry wishes to state that the bill has progressive provisions and will therefore support its enactment. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
On behalf of the committee, I wish to thank you for your submission. Most of it is self-explanatory. Members, I now call upon you to ask any questions or points of clarification. Thank you. I would probably set the ball rolling by asking the first question. In your view, as Ministry of Foreign Affairs, what do you think the timeline or the duration of visa processing permits should be? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In my team, I have our legal person, Mr. Banda. If you may allow him, ma'am, to respond to the question.
You may proceed.
Thank you so much, Chair. Through the PS, of course, Chair, on the issuance of visas, there are certain requirements which usually are being looked at. So, for one to be issued with a visa, of course, they make sure that these requirements are met. And in terms of the timeline for the issuance of a visa, we as a ministry, because we have also received requests, for instance, of not verbals requesting that please, we want to be issued with a visa, and we want the ministry to help us with the not verbal to these embassies and so forth. So, and these we have conveyed. But usually in terms of the timeline, it has been very difficult, because each time we follow, they say no, we have got other requirements which we also need to verify with the applicant. But as a ministry, Chair, we feel the timeline should be reasonable such that it allows the applicant also to be sure that he is going to be given a visa or is not going to be given a visa. So usually perhaps 21 days we feel it will be enough for the visa issuance. Thank you, Chair.
Before Honorable Chwe comes on, 21 days is visa application. What about issues of permits, citizenship, and so forth? What are your views on that? Because I think timelines seem to also be a contentious issue. We have the issue of reciprocity. Very recently, it was even brought on the floor of the House. There's been members of Parliament, I won't go to ministry, members of Parliament that have been denied visas to go to other countries, and even the time that those visas take. We look at other countries are permitting, we are permitting other countries to come through, but then the law of reciprocity is not happening with us. What are also your views on that? Honorable Chibuye, you may proceed so that we can combine.
Thank you, Chairperson. PS, in the bill, I think the owners are proposing that they should be allowed to use the firearms, but in your submission, even in your recommendations, we haven't seen that. How would you take that one, that they should go ahead and use the firearms, be allowed to use the firearms? What is your take on that one? Also, the threshold of the investment. Whoever is coming to invest in Zambia, there is a threshold of $1 million US. What is your take? Is that good money to come in the country, or is too little, or is too much? What is your position? Thank you.
Honorable Mutaya Chalo, then we'll hand over to the PS to take the three. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, PS, for your presentation. I think just as a follow-up to Honorable Chiwe is the question on the permit, residence the permits. In the bill, there is a proposal for seasonal permits in terms of employment opportunities for countries in the region, our neighbors. Is giving that opportunity that especially in areas like farming, in the farming business. So I wanted to find out that in light of high levels of unemployment in this country, is that provision ideal? Especially that I know that workers from Malawi, there's cheap labor, so most of the Zambians would rather engage Malawians because of cheap labor than Zambians. So does that not disadvantage our own Zambians in terms of employment opportunities? I submit.
PS, you may take the three. Please feel free to reassign your answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Maybe begin with the one on the principle of reciprocity and issuing permits and visas, and I'll request the Chief of Protocol to help me with that one.
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of reciprocity, I think that comes in when the two governments agree, and I think usually it's a policy issue, but I think what has happened here, we've been overtaken by events in terms of the visa regulations. Each country has their own conditions, and I think the Honorable Chair may be aware that the Americans have recently issued what they call a pilot program, which means that there's a bond connected to the application of the visas. So that, I think, was initiated in August of this year, and the requirements there are that for anybody to qualify for a visa, American visa that is, you are required to pay either $5,000 in the child's application, or $10,000 or $15,000 when it comes to an adult. So that came into play in August. So we are trying to engage the American embassy, the government through their embassy, and what we've received from them is that this is a pilot project or program, and therefore it's like a trial basis. But I think where we have special situations or occasions like the UNGA, they were willing to do away with the bond because it was an official visit or official business that our officers are traveling for. So with the Americans, that's a different set. As long as you pay the $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000, they will process your visa and let you know. Also, it's not a guarantee. These are the new regulations that have come now, and it's not guaranteed that they'll give you the visa. But if they don't give you a visa, they will refund. Excuse me, will refund the $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. And if you do get the visa and you travel, that bond as well will be refunded eventually, but we don't know what the timelines are. And as of now, I think very few people are applying for that because obviously the cost is very, very high. I know the issue coming to the Schengen visa, the 18 members of parliament, I think a few months ago, including Honorable Mwambazi, were denied because when you're applying for these visas, especially the Schengen, there's a timeline that comes into play, and that's usually about 15 days before the application. It can take a bit longer or it could come before 15 days, but you have to give them 15 days to process. And with the Schengen visa, which we applied through the Swedish embassy, it has to go to Nairobi, because that's the processing point. So when they talk about 15 days, it's the transit as well of the passports to go to Nairobi, to get there, be processed, and then sent back. So the average 15 days is required. So we've had applications, as was the case with the honourable members. Unfortunately, the application came a little bit late, and because of the numbers, it was very difficult for them to process. So in terms of the Schengen, you can apply for using different missions. We have the French embassy, we have the Italians, and we have the Swedish. So it depends on which embassy you go to. But basically, across the board is 15 days application, Chair. I submit. I can talk about the British one as well. The British application process is another 15 days. That one is processed in Pretoria. It's no longer done in Lusaka. So again, they give 15 days because of the transit, the processing, and the transit back to Lusaka. So therefore, we're having, I think it's almost like a lot of people are being inconvenienced because of the time factor. So what maybe we need to do as well is perhaps inform the public, maybe through the press and the media, what the regulations are now for these countries to attend or to request for visa and application process. So we are having quite a few challenges with the general public. But normally, if you apply in good time, they do process because of the traveling, the transiting, and so on. The French one is a bit different as well, because they've opted for an officer to come from Pretoria to collect the passports here. They give us certain dates where the officer travels and collects the passports, goes back to Pretoria, processes, and then they send them back. So each country has a slightly different process, but basically it's 15 days before travel. If you can do it before, even better. We've had cases where even honourable ministers have, I think for honourable ministers it's different. I'll clarify on that one. Honourable ministers have the option of VVIP treatment, and it's only open to honourable ministers and above. MPs do not qualify. Unfortunately, honourable MPs do not qualify for that facility. So most of these Schengen, British, American will give an expedite only to honourable ministers and above. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honourable Chibuye's question.
Is it this one on firearms? Firearms. And then also, sorry, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Chairperson, you may allow me to request my legal person to respond to the question on firearms, and he could cover the one on investments as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you so much, PS. Chair, on the firearms, it was a very debatable issue during the stakeholders meeting, because members thought maybe the immigration officers and so forth and the border guards, they will use these firearms carelessly. So lastly, it was unanimously agreed that no, let them use the firearms. And also, Chair, you need perhaps you may also know that when you have a child, when you give birth to a child, eventually the child will have teeth, which the child will use to bite and of course to eat. So it was thought that we cannot have the law and not to give them this enforcement mechanism like giving the firearms. So this will help them to put fear in the minds of the people. So basically, Chair, the use of firearms is something that it was agreed when we also participated in the stakeholders meeting. And also the other one, Chair, on the threshold of investment, the money which perhaps the honourable members mentioned, Well, it's something also, Chair, which Home Affairs thought is the money which maybe the initial amount which they would require on this one. So it's something also, Chair, which we had no problems also as a ministry, Chair. And also on the last one, Chair, I don't know, PS, if I can tackle this.
Honorable Chairperson, he wishes to also respond to the question on seasonal permits, if you may allow him.
You may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. So, of course, on the last one, the employment permits, Chair, this one is a very valid observation, Chair, because where I come from, Chair, in Eastern Province, my mother usually calls me to say, no, there are a lot of Malawians coming here. A lot of them coming, others they are getting, they are being employed as farm workers, which is of course a very valid position. So I normally ask her to say, so how do you know that this is a Malawians? They say, no, the way they speak, the language which they use, so you tell that, you know, these are Malawians. And sometimes they do useless things, they run away. So of course this is a valid observation, Chair. And you know, one thing also, the way the law has been couched is on the discretion of the DG. So in terms of these permits, one would submit the application, but it's on the discretion of the DG, because if one doesn't meet the requirements, the DG of course cannot issue these permits. But it's a very valid observation, and it's something which we also hope the Minister of Home Affairs will work on it to make sure that people, they don't just enter, especially from these neighboring countries, they don't just cross and being employed as farm workers. But just to mention that the law, the way it has been couched, Chair, is on the discretion of the DG. Chair, I submit. Thanks so much, PS.
Would you like to add something?
No, Chair.
Your mic, please. Honorable members, any further questions or points of clarification? Is everything clear? Have your questions been answered? Okay, I will ask the last one, looking at time. Under ramifications of provisions of the bill, you have stated, number 2, that Part 5 introduces immigration consultants. So, immigration consultants could mean a various number of consultants. Do you feel that a phrase that states the association instead of consultants should also be part of the definition? I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'll ask my legal expert to answer that one as well.
You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you so much, PS. Of course, we hear you, Chair, in terms of the immigration consultants, because you know this is just a recent, it's a proposed law which they have thought of inserting it in the bill, so that they can regulate the consultants. So consultants, usually these are the ones which will be dealing with the matters relating to immigration. And also an association, Chair, perhaps we feel an association is a group of individuals whereby that association maybe at one time they would feel to be registered and also to be recognized by the law. So eventually, Chair, we feel maybe that's where we are going from the consultants. Maybe once there are many, they will feel that maybe for us to be for us ourselves to be regulated as consultants, maybe we need to come up with our own law, which maybe it will be now called maybe immigration or immigration consultant associate, but we feel the way it is sitting, it is okay. Chair, thank you so much.
Okay, just to add to that, the association actually does exist. It's called the Association of Professional Immigration Consultants. So that's the spirit of asking, because when we just have the consultants, there's no regulation. Now when we have the actual wording that reads the association, I don't know how that sits with you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Well, that is well noted, Chair, and we feel maybe something can be done, maybe through a notice of amendment, just to include this one, because if there's also there's a profession of which is an association, a profession of these consultants, and of course at one time they need to be regulated. So of course it's a good provision, Chair, which we feel maybe it can also be included.
Honorable Mtachalo?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I think just a quick one, PS. I know that as a country we are trying to position ourselves as the maybe investor or tourist destination country. I know that there are countries which have give visas upon arrival. I think countries like Indonesia, Thailand, for certain countries. And our colleagues here in Rwanda, they offer visas upon arrival to all countries. Don't you think that as a country also we must be moving towards that direction for us to boost the investment and also tourism? Thank you.
PS?
Honorable Chairperson, again, if you allow me, ask the Chief of Protocol to respond.
The Chief of Protocol may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think the issue of visas on arrival is available for certain countries. I don't have the list with me, but there was a list that was released not too long ago, but we can make that available. But there are some countries who are on the list for visa-free arrivals or visas on arrival, if that's what the Honourable Minister is asking. When we talk about countries like the ones we've discussed already, the Schengen ones, that is not possible. The same way we have visas to their countries, they also apply for visas to come to Zambia. So we do have some countries who are able to receive on arrival. Many years ago we used to have visas issued from Lusaka with the British High Commission. And many years ago we were able to get visas within a day from the American Embassy. But what has happened over the years, as I'm sure the Honourable Ministers are available, the immigration issues in the West have become a bone of contention. So that has affected all of us, unfortunately, African countries. The British are issuing strong immigration controls. The Americans, I'm sure you know, as you've seen from the social media and the media, formal media as well. So it's almost like an international immigration problem or migration problem, and to curtail that they're issuing these visa restrictions. And I think also for Zambia, part of our problem is that we have a high, in the case of the United States of America, we have a high number of no returns or non-returns. People who've traveled, some on official business, some on private holidays, and have just slipped into the system. As your honourable MPs know, America is a huge place, very difficult for them to control. So when people go in, it takes time for them to find out who has returned and who has not. But recently we got a list of names of people who have not returned, and they want to know what we're going to do about that. So our country unfortunately ranks amongst the highest of no returns, unfortunately. So that's where we find ourselves, Honourable MP. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you. I'll just ask the honorable member that has joined us to introduce himself. Then, PS, you can give your final remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. Chilundika Derek is my name. I'm a member of Parliament for Njanga constituency and also a member of this committee. Thank you.
Honorable, you may introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair. PS and the team, good morning. Muvika, MP for Shango Northern Province, and a member of the committee. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. PS, you may give your concluding remarks. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson, for us, we feel honored to have been chosen by this honorable committee to be part of the institutions that have been invited here to be witnesses to this very, very important bill. And we are always available, Honorable Chairperson, when called upon, and we thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS. On behalf of the committee, I also wish to thank you for finding time to come and present your submission, which will go a very long way in the committee also writing a report that will be presented on the floor of the House. On behalf of Madam Speaker, as well as the Clerk of the National Assembly, and on behalf of the committee, we wish to thank you so much for coming through. And I also wish to thank your colleagues. Thank you so much for all the questions answered. I really wish we had more time so that we could spend more time in interrogating the bill further. But unfortunately, in the interest of time, we're aware that you also have a very busy schedule. We wish to now remove the little immunity that was granted to you, but you are pleased. We are pleased to inform you that you shall enjoy the greater immunity that you enjoy as citizens of the country. So thank you so much for coming through. Thank you, and you are free to.
Well, thank you very much for still being with us on Parliament Television. That was the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Margaret Miowa from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and National Security. Sorry, I beg your pardon. That was the PS, Ms. Margaret Miowa from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the team was making a submission on the consideration of the Immigration Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2025, to the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs. And just now we will be crossing over to the Public Accounts Committee, in which the Ministry of Health is making an appearance for the consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year 31st December 2024.